on all of our partner pages. We're really excited for this brand new webinar series that we're launching tonight, our Aha Wāhine Kūhinapapa. Woo! Everybody's pouring in. Look at all of our friends. We see everyone joining us tonight. We're excited. As you're coming in, please let us know where you're tuning in from. And you know, I think because we're honoring Aha Wāhine and sending out aloha to all of our wahine, our kupuna wahine, our maku wahine, our little babies. Who's one wahine or kaikamahine that you want to bring with you tonight? Can you let us know in the chat? We would love to give honor to all of these amazing wahine and to each of you that are just choosing to be with us tonight. So aloha, I see aloha from Ka'ai and Lynette Paglinawan from Kahalu'u Oahu. I see some aloha tuning in from Kapahi, Kauai. Aloha noe auli'i. Let's see. Oh, and we're live and cross-posted with all of our partner pages. I'm seeing aloha coming in from Wailuku, Maui. And from Molokai, aloha e kanoi. And my daughters are present to listen and learn. We love that. That's a beautiful way to start. And my mama is here with me tonight too. My mama is Rosalind Nobriga. And we're tuning in from Hanapepe, Kauai. And oh, I see a lot of friends. So Kailua is joining us. Kane Ohe is joining us. Nalani from Kailua. We have even more friends joining us from Molokai. Mai Kailoa. And I'm going to be pulling up my Facebook page as we go live here. And, you know, mahalo to everyone that has been liking and following us on Facebook as well as on Instagram. You know, that was just really new, and we can't do this without all of you and having followers and people that, you know, we continue to partner with. So, all right, I see Amber from Keolu. I see Ha'iku joining us. Klavahine, Pukalani Maui, Wailua Kauai. Kailua, Malina from Kailua, aloha, nake. And here on Facebook, I see Lea Aloha from Aloha, Oregon. Mahea ho'aku. We got all kinds of friends joining us, and thank you for those that chose to join us here on Zoom. We had over 100 wahine and kane that were signing up and registering through our brand new website, ahavahine.org. Woo! It's just been really exciting to even put all of this together and to see all of our friends. So you're in for a treat, you know, as we start to tell you a little bit more about the past, the present, and the future, and just where we're planning to go. Great. I see our friends joining us on our Facebook pages as well. So, Uakani no Kahola, I see that it's Hola Ehiku on my clock here. So, let's see. I believe I'm going to stop here, and then we will all be on a gallery view. And, all right. So aloha kako, I'm Malia Nobriga Oliveira, and just really happy to be able to moderate tonight's panel and to just get us kicked off. And we have so many friends that are joining us, as you can see on our gallery view here. So we're going to start with a quick ho'olauna of who all of our panelists are, and then we will proceed and share a little bit about our mo'olelo. So right below me on my screen is Kaiu Odom. So I'm gonna tag it over to her. Aloha Kaiu. And let's get you unmuted here.
Oh.
All right, there we go.
Okay. Aloha, everybody. I am Ka'iolani from Mokapu, Kailua, Oahu, and I also work at Roots, Kokua Kalihi Valley, and happy to be here tonight. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui. Okay, and I'm going down below on my screen. I'm seeing Anuenue Punua, so I'm gonna ask to unmute.
Aloha nui kākou. O wau o Anuenue Punua no Kane Ohe o Ahu Maiau. I'm a preschool teacher at Kamehameha, and I'm also the executive director of Maili Kukahi Aina Momona Academy. Aloha.
Aloha no. And over to my side here, I see Kim Ku'ulei Bernie. Aloha.
Aloha, I'm Kim Ku'ulei Bernie. I'm calling in from Hamakua, Kailua. I see a lot of viewers also from Kailua, so aloha to you all. I'm with Papa'ololokahi, the Native Hawaiian Health Board.
Mahalo and aloha. And then over to my other side is Napua. Aloha and Napua.
Aloha mai. My name is Napua Cassin Fisher, and I'm calling in from Pa'ala'a Waialua, where I'm from, and I work for Papa'ololokahi.
Aloha. And over to you, Judy.
Aloha no, it's so wonderful to see so many of our wonderful friends. I'm Judy Oliveira. I'm calling in from Kailua. I'm originally from Maui, and I'm currently with Windward Community College as the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs. Welcome, everyone.
Aloha. And over to Jamie.
Aloha, everyone. Jamie Miller here from Hale'aha, Little Ahupua'a, right next to Punalu'u on Oahu. I'm here as a kupuna. My grandson is here with me, and I do work for Kamehameha Schools. Aloha, everyone.
Aloha no. And over to my tita Mehana Okala.
Mahalo ki kua'ana. Aloha mai kākou, Owano o Mehana Okala Hines from Palolo, Oahu. I'm calling in tonight from Alia Manu in Honolulu, Oahu. Aloha mai kākou.
Hi, aloha. All right, so I'm gonna bring up back up my my screen here, and we have a short video to start us off, and then we'll be back with our panel. Okay, let's see.
I am so elated to have been given the opportunity to be here and just to be with women, all women. It's so empowering, so supportive.
The conference is an opportunity to bring together Hawaiian women, to bring together the women of our community, to share all of the best and the beautiful that we all have to share with one another, and to really showcase the good work in our community and what folks are doing.
We do have our own problems and situations, and as I look through the program, it seems to fit a lot of things that I'm concerned about.
I learned a lot. I mean, as a Hawaiian woman, what my role is, what I should be doing, how I should be feeling. And actually, there's a lot of workshops that really helped us to get in tune with who we are.
The conference has been awesome because anytime you get hundreds of Hawaiian women together to talk about everything from health to creativity to business to leadership, it's a wonderful experience because we're everywhere and we do everything.
A wonderful thing to have, to come down here and join and meeting all the young kupunas, And the Wahines that today, I didn't think that there was going to be much younger one. I wish I could see a little older ones also.
I got a health screening from Keola Mamo. I talked with the Kauka about my health. I was given information about like programs for Native Hawaiians, like for weight management. If I needed mental health services, there are free programs available.
Everybody has such great experiences, and we're often so busy taking care of our ohana or in school like myself or at work that it's really a chance to sit down and talk story and learn from each other.
I just love being with other Hawaiian women. You know, strengthens your mana.
Oh, what a great overview. I feel of, you know, what we experienced back in 2012, you know, and so many familiar faces and so much aloha and so many memories are coming back. And, you know, I think we ended at the ahu, and I think we have a lot of memories and things that are coming, well, that I'm thinking about. And I wanted to ask my kaikaina here, Mehana Kala, like, what was some of the thought behind the ahu and the mana'o behind why that was so important as a way for us at Aha Wāhine?
Yeah, mahalo, Maria, for that. You know, the ahu that you seen in that video was brought, you know, straight from He'eia, from Kāhua, who still to this day ma'alama that ahu, you know, and all the pieces that make that ahu. And they brought it there, we assembled, and the thought behind that was to allow our women, those who do participate in the rituals that you know, our kupuna participated in, were able to do that. Those who never did before, you know, had an opportunity to observe that and also to be brought in to that connection, right? And that ahu was important because it was a symbolic, it was a symbol for us. Every wahine that was there, of the Kāhua that we were building together, right? Each rock, each ko'a that was put in there, and each of the ho'okupu that was brought from all the islands. The ceremony included mele and wahine who represented their home islands. And for those islands who don't have residents currently on them, like Kaho'olawe or Papahānaumokuākea, right? Women who were pili to those moku and those aina came forward and offered ho'okupu to that building, to that collective building of a connection between each and every one of us who were participating, a connection to both ancestors and almost like an opening that we knew from that point on that we could share with the generations coming after us. Yeah, so it was so important. We dedicated that ahu to Hina, and in the name, right, Aha Wāhine Kūhinapapa, you know, there was many manifestations that were put into that name, right, that correlated to then the ceremony that we had there. And the ceremony very magical in the sense that women who may not have met each other from their own islands, were able to come together and as one and offer ho'okupu to bring their mana into that space. So yeah, mahalo nui.
Mahalo. So kind of like in our title, about setting that kahua. And I think I really like that, we were able to do that. And I remember even for myself participating, and I was at the time living on Oahu, but being able to ho'opili with my Kauai ohana and the women from there and finding a way to connect again and reconnect that way was really special for me too. So yeah, mahalo. How about for the for Kim and Kaiu and that setting of the foundation at that time? Oh, let's get you unmuted here.
We had actually been involved in 2006 when.
Uh-oh.
And that commit. Am I still muted?
Oh. You're good. You're good.
Okay, sorry. Kim and I were involved with and Judy and just a small group of women that I was working at Kamehameha schools at the time. And so that's when Kamana Opono had come up with the idea to have Aha Kane. And so we helped to support that. And when that was over, we kept getting requests from females all the time, Wahine, all the time. When are we going to have our own? When are we going to have our own? We want to do this. And so starting in the end of 2010 or early 2011, we started to form a small group that would meet. And I think we started meeting at Windward College because Judy was there. Judy's, she was there, she left and she came back. But so we used Windward College facilities to start meeting and to talk about what we would like to see, what kind of strands we would like. We came up with culture, education, leadership, health, and Aina economics. So those are the kind of strands we came up from the very beginning and have tried to keep through all of this. Kim, what do you...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It really sprung up. And I know that there were other women's groups here and there that were gathering, but I think in 2012 or when we started planning in 2011, that's really when the momentum, is just all the right people were together at the right time and the momentum built. And we knew that we weren't going to have it until the summer of 2012, but there was a kind of an idea being floated, like, let's just try it. Let's just see if there's any response. So we decided to have what we called a mini AHA in February of 2012, and we decided we'd cap it at 100 people. And within 10, 11 days, something like that, we had more than 150 registered. And we ended, and I don't mean people, I mean Wahine. And we ended up having, I think, 300 people at this mini AHA. And that really, gave us the confidence and the assurance that later when we have a really big one, which we did at Leeward Community College, that it was probably going to be something that everybody was learning for.
Well, and I think one of the reasons we had the mini one, and actually Mehana might be able to talk to that, is while we were meeting on the site and we had our group of women that was meeting, Mehana was also had something that happened in her life that made her want to have this. And that's when we kind of joined forces. But I don't know if Mehana wanted to say a few words about that.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, in the late fall or the early fall of 2011, I was working at the University of Hawaii in Manoa, still at that time, transitioning actually over to Windward Community College to be an instructor there. But I had worked with students, college students, for my entire career, pretty much. And I had an experience with one of my female students who had to deal with domestic violence within her household and being, all of a sudden a young single mother who had gone through, that experience. And it really kind of inspired and motivated me in a way fueled with the question of how is this still happening with our Wahine, our young Wahine today? What am I not doing? What are we as Makua, that generation right before them? What have we not done? And I know the answer to that is complex and varied, but the idea of having an Aha Wāhine to bring Wahine together, to know that they are not alone, to know that the strength that they need is all within them. It's within their DNA, passed down from grandmother to granddaughter, in all of her haumea-ness, right? And all of her hina and her papa, her hi'iaka, her honua mea, that hey, we need to, I need to have this happen, sooner rather than later. So yeah, I reached out to the group that was planning. And when they said, oh, we're going to have ours, in the summer of next year. And I was just like, for some reason, it just overpowered me. And I was like, I can't wait for that. I think we should have one earlier than that. And that it would be a good idea for us to, to kind of test the waters here and see what we're in store for, right? And the response was tremendous. The response was overwhelming. And we felt bad that we had to, actually end up capping it at 300, a little over 300, because every time I said it was capped, there were a few more women who, wanted to come in. And then we pulled up, it was a one-day Aha Wāhine, that first one at Woodward Community College. Yeah, and we had a good time and then knew exactly what we were in store for come August of that same year.
And I think that's a really good driver, because this was really like the Aha Kane, this was really about health and well-being. And we had tracks in economics and education and so forth. We also made sure that we had health screening, we had health education, and we had available services. We had the opportunity to share available services. And, for those of us that work in the public health arena, public health organizations are full of women with, a couple of men here and there. And it was even our experience when we were kokua to the Aha Kane, they had hundreds of men register, but the women did the registering for them. And the research shows that it's women who will make the doctor's appointments, that will make sure their family members get to the doctors. And so we knew that when the women were asking, when Wahine were asking for a gathering where we could just focus on Wahine issues, that, that truly, as Mehana said, we didn't know exactly what we were getting into.
And it's
actually, knew it was going to be good.
And it's a good thing we had that Windward one first, because by the time we got to Leeward, we had just expanded with everything we were doing. We had the health screening, but we also brought in vendors, all of them Wahine vendors from all across the island. I know Mehana, she was the one that actually wanted to have hair cutting and stuff. And so we found a Hawaiian-owned business that taught a school for haircuts and stuff. And so they all came in. We had Lomi, we had this huge tent out in the middle where, if you didn't want to go to a workshop and you just wanted to sit and listen, you could. We had big workshops, we had small workshops. The entire film crew was all Wahine. I remember too that we were trying to find a woman to run the full sound system for everything. And so we were able to do that too. And so it was 3 days of just everything run by women, for women, a great place. The food, Tammy Smith did the food. She had beautiful Hawaiian food for everybody. And so just out of curiosity, if you went to either the one at Windward or the one at Leeward, just throw it into the chat box. Let us know which one you were at and what was your favorite part about any one of those. I know that we all had favorite pieces of each one.
That's a great question, and I'm seeing another kaikaina, Kameha Ililani, saying survey equals pareo. And I remember that special pareo, and so that was fun. And yeah, let us know, and let's see what else comes in here.
Well, you know, Deanne Carpenter and her crew actually hand printed every single pareo that the attendants at Leeward were able to get. And I'm glad Lani's out there, because we were talking about the Haumea Chronicles, and I think Mihana can talk a little bit more than that, but she did the most fabulous survey that was just so funny. And we were thinking about having her recreate that.
Oh yeah, we got to get version 2. Yeah, volume 2.
Version 2. You will want to participate in this.
Right. And Lani's one. So we did a couple unique things, right? Instead of the bag that you normally get at conferences, we said, what do women really want, right? And shawls and pareos were really in at that time. So the first one, shout out to Kealo Pico and my cousin Kanani Miner out there who did the logo. You know, they did the pareo for the Windward Community College one. And then, yes, Dr. Carpenter and her crew did the one for the Leeward Community College. And that was like all in that mixed bag of, no, yeah, we're women. We can go do it whichever way we want now, right? What is it that we want? We want pareos, right? And yeah, at Windward, it was, you don't get a pareo until you turn in your survey, because data was super important because we were planning the other one. And then at Leeward, it was, if you wanted to get your registration money back, you go get a health screening and you can use that gift certificate to purchase $35 worth of goods at the craft fair. From many, you know, all of our Native Hawaiian small business owners who were participating. So that was awesome. And then the Haumea or the Haumea, because we said both of them, because we wanted to really take ownership of those words, right? That had been used against us, you know, throughout this period of colonization. We said we're gonna have, and Ka'ahiki, if you are out there, mahalo nui, for just being so courageous. And I almost said crazy because she was kind of crazy too. Courageous and crazy to just, she was just like, no, we should have this and it should be named this. And, you know, and Kameha Ililani jumped in and Kulani, you know, came in. We just had a great, and the young, who are actually young women now, but who were teenagers at that time. We had some Haumana, some Opio, that came from QLCC in Wahine that came and participated in that. But that was really a showcase of our joy, our hurt, our celebration, our frustration, and our achievements, right? So the Haumea Chronicles was our version at that time of what other people were hosting as the Vagina Monologues, you know, were very popular at that time. But it was our way, and those artists who went up on stage and performed in that, really, the audience just loved it. So yes, gotta have something like that, you know, for the next album.
Mehana, tell them what they did, every single one did when they walked out on the stage.
So my favorite part about the Haumea and Haumea Chronicles was every artist who went on the stage, every performer who went on the stage, when they did their piece, they had their palimai, their panty, and they went and hung it up on the line, right? So there was a line which would horrify most people, right? Again, but the whole point of the production was to reclaim our not only our mana, but our role in everything, and not to be ashamed of it anymore. So by the end of the show, you had a clothesline up there with all kind of panties on there, right? And granny panties, and you know, just, and all the colors of the rainbow. And it was really, it really made women feel like, wow, this is my place to be. I was meant to be here on this night, and I have no shame in what's going on in my life. That. So yeah. Good times.
And because we didn't know what was going to go on, we didn't allow any filming inside there. And then as we were putting this together, we were so sad because we actually have not one picture or any documentation. I think maybe a program. But and then Kim, I know you were going to talk about the leadership that was there.
Right. I think there were a lot of opportunities to bring together different groups of women. One example is there were heads of women. The chair of Aha was a woman, Colette Machado. The chair of, in those days it was Lili Uokaleti Trust was Dr. Clara Sam. Dr. DJ Mailer was the head of Kamehameha Schools. We had a panel of leadership. Another real good example of bringing women together is we brought together Hawaiian women filmmakers. And there were so many of them that they comprised not one, but two panels. And some of the comments that we got back was that they all kind of knew each other by reputation, but it was for some, it was the first time they had met some of the others. And definitely the first time they were brought together all together. And that was two full panels. And aside from the panels, I just want to say that one of my favorite parts I kind of remembered after we did our briefings earlier was, in the beginning, Mehana started talking about the Ahu a little bit. And we invited women on the day of to gather by island and to present ho'okupu. And of course, I'm Pilik to Kaho'olawe. And when we said Kaho'olawe, I think there must have been about 15 or 20 women who didn't live on Kaho'olawe, but all were pili to Kaho'olawe. So to be able to engage in that way with other women who felt connected to the same place that I feel connected to, and some of whom I know are out there watching and listening, I think that was a really special thing. And the same thing happened, as Mehana has mentioned, the same thing happened for Papahana Mokuakea.
And I think when I look back at it, one of my favorite moments was that lunchtime presentation that we had with the women prisoners. And we had invited them to come and speak because they had a writing group inside the prison. They had, I think, an English teacher that went in there and helped them to write. And so they were a lunchtime presentation. We had never heard them before. And one by one, they got up and they told their stories and they shared the pain and the struggles, the drugs, the beatings, the heartbreak, leaving their kids, leaving their families. They really did have everybody in tears. And one by one, they told their stories. And when they were done, they came out into the crowd and sat with us. And I remember all of our Lomi friends just going up to give them Lomi and to give them aloha. And then there had been this painting. There were a couple at that time of paintings going on during the whole process where women were painting parts of it. And we were going to auction off one, I forget what. But it was decided after these women prisoners spoke to give it to them to hang in the prison. And so both Puni and I were invited that day to this was after the conference was done, but we were invited to go when they were presented with it and they were going to hang it up. And, to be honest, I've never been inside of a women's prison like that before. And we got there early and we sat in the front and you just had rows and rows of women walking in their prison uniform. And there were all of these Hawaiian women that were walking into the prison. And that was it was a really big learning moment for me and my interest in, the things that go on and the ways to help and the stories to tell and just the connections that they are missing from that. And so we kept a relationship up with them for quite a while after that, talking to the teacher of that. And we were always hoping to bring them back to again, but I don't think that that same program is in the prison right now.
No, before I know we're running out of certain time, but I just wanted to mention, my favorite part was all the things that none of us as organizers got to participate in, right? That's that's just how it is, right? But as I walked by Hile Cabello's, taco, with demonstration. The demonstration and watching all the women, just like do things that their family traditions have passed on, right? And all the way down to, you know, one of my fondest memories is my kumu, Lena Ala Kalamahaini, was at both of them, and her presence, you know, now that she's no longer here anymore, these gatherings provide that opportunity for us in multi-generations, right, to come together. And we had families who would have 3-4 generations of Wahine represented at the Aha. And so that was one of my endearing moments in this reflection that we've had. So tonight I bring, you know, Auntie Ala here amongst us, where she would love to be, of course, always in supporting our work. And that's an opportunity that Aha Wāhine brings. It allows us to set aside space and time for that multi-generational, intergenerational, inter-school, right, halau time and bonding that we don't always necessarily have time to do.
Mahalo. And, you know, I was also, you know, there's so many comments in the Zoom as well as on our Facebook chat that's really remembering all their favorites. Like you said, the Hi'ile Kavelo one, or maybe even the Hanau Pepe. And I wanted to ask, I think, you know, as we wrap it up, I'm also thinking about Auntie Tammy Smith and her role with so many of the Wahine from her ohana. Maybe Kim or Ka'yu, do you guys want to say a little bit about the role Auntie Tammy and her ohana played?
Well, every role, she's always awesome, but it's actually Ka'yu who brought her in.
Yeah, well, you know, food is my thing, and so it was really important. And so we're going to tell a little story, but you know, when we did the Aha Kane, and it was at Kamehameha, so I was able to work with the food service up there to really try and serve really healthy but traditional foods, you know, like we did, you know, limu tomato omelets and all those kind of things. But I had learned a lot of this from Herbert, right? Because Herbert and I had done a lot of work, and he's a mentor and family and a colleague of mine. But the men were not all used to it, I have to say. You know, some of them wanted some of the other stuff. So it was really important that even as we did the women and gathered the Wahine together, that we served really good food that was going to nourish us both physically, mentally, and spiritual. That was going to tie us to our kupuna the whole time we were there. And so, of course, you know, we asked Tammy to do it. And so Tammy provided this really healthy food throughout the whole time, like she's been doing, you know, continuously ever since. But it was just really, really important for us that we nourished all of the women there with a food that told us and reminded us of who we were.
Great. So maybe a final memory before we transition to our other panelists. Kim?
Oh, I told my story about Kaho'olawe already. Well, for me, it was 3 generations. My daughter was there, and my mo'opuna was just a baby. No, maybe a little bit older, but I had 3 generations there as well, and plus all the wahine that we brought with us.
Nice, mahalo. Mehana, how about you as another memory?
You know, just for me, it was the simple things. It was the things that most people would consider to be surface, right? We as Hawaiian Wahine, we're so used to carrying heavy kuleana, right? So if the thing not deep and heavy, right? Oh, then it's, you know, that's just the light stuff, right? And I'm talking about women who told me after that, you know how long it's been since I got a haircut? Because I gotta make sure the bebes get their haircuts, you know, and they get their clothes. That I don't have time or the money, you know, to be able to spend on that. You know how it's been years, or you know how long it's been since I was able to hold a gift certificate in my hand and buy something for me. So those things where if people hear that, they go, oh, well, that's not deep, you know, that's not. And I was like, no, as Hawaiian women, one of the things that we have embraced wrongly, I think, is a sense that it's kuleana, 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 and we have no time to heal ourselves. So if anything, the memory I have of Aha Wāhine is that we created space for the Wahine just to malama themselves. Yeah. Indulge in themselves.
Yeah. I think for me, one of the things that we did that was actually pre-conference that was my favorite is that we had decided that before the conference, we would bring together all of the presenters up at Ho'olu'aina where I work, and we would have pupus and time for everybody to introduce themselves, to talk about what they were talking about, and just to take time together, because most of the time when you're presenting at a conference too, you don't get to really enjoy, but we wanted everyone to see who was presenting, the depth of what the knowledge that was just going to be held communally between all of us, and just to sit and really enjoy ourselves before the conference. And so we did that for both conferences, and that was one of the favorite things that I remember.
Oh, mahalo nui. What a great way to start us off here. And mahalo to all three of you for sharing your mana'o. I think we're going to move on now to, and I'll invite Anuenue and Judy to come and join me here. And let's see. Oh, okay. I see the videos coming on. Awesome. And, you know, there have been other initiatives that has happened since that 2012. And so I think as we move forward, I wanted to invite both Anuenue as well as Judy to talk a little bit about, what has happened since then.
Yeah, mahalo Malia. I think it's just so exciting to continue to just feel how deeply affected and inspired Kim, Ka'u, and Mehana was in their own ways, and then yet knowing that in those two ahas that we held in the same year, because we were a little crazy to do such a thing, you know, we touched 1,000 wahine, and 1,000 wahine and generations. And so since then, it's been again amazing to know that it's been 8 years, and still the work has continued. And the work has continued to inspire people who attended that. And it's just exciting to see people's comments here saying how much they remembered what had happened there. And yet I know as I see these names, I also know that they continued on the legacy and the message that we were so, it was so critical for us to do. We knew that we couldn't continue to host, conferences every year because we outdid ourselves and we held 2 in 1 year, but we knew we couldn't continue to do that. And so, since then, each of us have been so blessed in our own spaces to continue this work, and to know that others have come to us and said, because of the time that they spent with us, because we were able to hold space and to share what that space looks like, that they've been able to do this in their own ohana and through their own work and through their own organization. So what we, Anuenue and I will talk about here is just how we've been involved in these wonderful moments of sharing of mana with wahine. And then I will share one that I've been in many, but one that I have been most inspired by is the work that we're doing with Nalau Hina, which is with Auntie Hoku Holt Padilla. Let me say that again, Dr. Hoku Holt Padilla, because we just got her honorary doctorate last year. She has gathered a group of wahine and has helped us to be able to hold space for each other, to share culturally a look at wahine akua and understand the connection of wahine akua to our own lives and to our own families. And then again, how does that work look for us in our work today? So it's been a series of meetings since about 2018. And we've just met the beginning of this year, and we'll continue to do so. Of course, COVID stopped some things, but yet Auntie Hoku has continued to do this kind of work in this social media platform. So I really encourage all of you to check with her. She's on Facebook and all the other things to even join in, because it's been such an amazing time for many of us, even myself, who I honestly can say it's like I was not raised in the sense of being Hawaiian in a cultural way. I was raised with, again, a wonderful single mom with 5 sisters, and yet I knew what that looked like. But to be able to connect culturally right now in my adult life has just been able to bring things full circle for me. So again, so blessed to have these moments with everyone. I'm hoping that as we move forward and as Anui talks about her work and the work that she's done with Aha Wāhine, that people will be able to put in the chat some of the things that they were inspired by and was able to continue on in these past 8 years, and even put it on the Facebook page as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Anui now, and she's going to share some wonderful experiences that she's had with Wahine in her life as well. Mahalo.
Mahalo nui, Judy. Yes, I think the greatest thing, right, we as Wahine is that we build pilina amongst each other, and that's the strength that when we spend a lot of time together, we re-energize and restore our own mana, our own mauli, and we're able to do work in our own community. So just a few things like Judy shared, the hua or the outcomes from these gatherings, I know are immense and many. And 8 years ago, as I reflected when we were planning this evening, I shared with all of our panelists that I was a young mother with 3 keiki at that time that were all at like 5 years old and under. And that even the planning is kind of blurry to me of that time. And here I am 8 years later, and I have very mature daughters, yeah, and that my time is so different now from when it was back then. And the perspective has changed too, as a Wahine, and that we always lead upon our mentors. So some of the outcomes that we spoke about in our planning committee, one was with QLCC when Jamie Mahelani Miller was in the Kona region on Hawaii Island. And one of the big things that really stuck out is that she did hold mini Aha Wāhine for a lot of the ohana of QLCC. As we know, they really tailor toward our ohana that have keiki who are orphaned, who are missing a parent in their lives. And one that I was able to participate in that really was powerful was they held like a Mother's Day for all the incarcerated mothers that are here on Oahu. So we don't, for those of us who live on Oahu, on Hawaii Island and the other outer islands, they don't have a women's prison there. So all of the mothers are flown here, and they're here on Oahu, out in Kailua, and that so this is really, it really impacted me. So QLCC flew all of the keiki from Kona or from Hawaii Island that were in their unit to Oahu, and we had a la makuahine, we had a Mother's Day, and it was so beautiful. Just like Auntie Kaiu shared, I've never been in a women's prison. I had no idea what to expect, and I was brought in as part of a hui to hold a station that they could participate in. They did little hands-on stations, and our station was ku'i'ai. So we actually brought in the boards and the stones, and we had about 5 or 6 of us that came, and they were part of one of the stations. They had other stations like crafting and mele for the mothers to do a little rotation. And, that was such a powerful uplifting and also bittersweet. We see a reflection of many of our ohana in there, and till this day I really pule for all of our ohana that live in that situation. We all have ohana in that. Another example was our and actually this is not necessarily a example directly off of Aha Wāhine, but it's through a program that Auntie Kaiulani them work with up at Anpuni at Kokua Kalihi Valley, Ho'olu'aina, where they do Wahine Hapai. And I spoke with Auntie Ka'u about this, about whether or not this was a direct, outcome of Aha Wāhine, and she shared that actually it was actually before that the idea and the research went into, but that when they shared it, they did present at a Aha Wāhine conference, and that from that many of the couples came and they won, and that's kind of what developed the curriculum to what they have now. And I think that's a really awesome thing to look at the different stages in life that we are tending to. Yeah, we have prenatal, which is something that we haven't always really taken the time to look at, and looking at it through a Maoli perspective, a Hawaiian perspective. So for me, my personal story is that our program, the Ko'olau Aina Momona, we deal with our adolescent girls, and not deal with, but we take the time to really honor that time of transition for our girls. And it's kind of based off of, for me being a mother of a teenager and trying to figure out, like, how do I deal with this, knowing that her kuleana is really that she now has the kuleana of giving birth to life, right? And so we've hosted 2 Mahina retreats, and with a bunch of our makuahine, our mothers, and we've really looked at, rather than, and I don't know about you, but my experience of getting my vai makalehua, or we would call it our period, or our ma'i, quote unquote, right? Wasn't that great, right? Like, it was kind of like, here's what you got to do, and just take care of it. And it was a little bit like overwhelming, right? So I think that we were hearing in our, I was hearing in our community how other ohana were celebrating this and creating ceremony, and really preparing for that time, whether it was that their keiki was gonna get a uhi, or their keiki, they're gonna, like their ohana are lei makers, so they're gonna get a certain type of lei. And also wanna do a shout out to Mahina, Makana Kane, who was also doing her dissertation at that time on vai makalehua. And she kind of shared a little bit of her research on not just Hawaiian research, but also Maori. And it really helped to kind of formulate like our own mothers and daughters to think about what we could do and how we can celebrate this time. So, we're learning and we're evolving. I can't say that we have a set program, but it's definitely a model and a concept that comes from our halepe'a, our time that our wahine in traditional times would go away, and they would during that time, and we probably would all be cycling together, so we'd be together anyway. And I'm also a part of Nalawahina with Auntie Hoku, and we always share about, I'm sure during halepe'a time, we talked a lot, right? We conversed, we got all the things we needed to, so that when we're pau, we could actually go back and do our regular kuleana, and the importance of us always gathering. But those are just a few examples, and I know there are so many more out there. Yeah, mahalo.
Mahalo. Those are really inspiring kinds of papahana that I know we all get to learn from each other. And I think that's what's great about these kinds of gatherings, whether it be our in-face networking, or when we can join in like this. I mean, I'm sure 1 or 2 people are hearing just about, some of these new programs or what kind of workshops happened before, and some inana and some sparks are going off like, oh, I got to find out more, and I want to connect with so-and-so. And we really hope that those are some of the takeaways from our webinar series, is that it'll spark this kind of connections and building pilina, and maybe wanting to start these kinds of programs in your own aina. Yeah. Judy, you wanted to maybe share anything else before we go on to our other friends? You're on mute.
I want to give our other friends time to share their mana'o as well, but just again, just hearing all of the wonderful memories, and then now how we've been inspired by this work. I just, really encourage everyone who's listening in to continue doing this kind of work in their ohana and in their organizations. And we look forward to actually gathering again very soon in person. And that way we can bring all of our wonderful ideas and events and, just again, time to hold space and be there for each other. So mahalo.
Mahalo. So maybe to wrap up our section, do you guys want to say who you were intending to, or who you brought with you tonight into our po'aia pili here?
Okay, I brought my mom, my mother Primrose, Kaheaku Punua. She didn't get to come with me to the last Aha Wāhine, but now that she's always with me, I bring her into our po'ai.
Yeah. And I, of course, bring my mama Hazel Makahilahila Oliveira. It was quite interesting because we did have a very small part in WIPSI in 2014 that we had an entire day dedicated for Wahine, and my mom actually passed away during that time. So it was amazing to be around with all of the Wahine that we have here, and just being able to just know, to know that, yes, it was a time of passing, and yet it was also a time of celebration. And then I also just wanted to, because I believe I see Auntie Lynette Paglina who has tuned in, and just to mahalo her for all of her mana wahine, that nest that she shared with so many of us along the many years. And I was so fortunate to actually be able to drive her every once in a while to UH West Oahu when we were working out there. And there were days that I would fight with other people, so I could be the driver. So it was my lessons with Auntie Lynette that again, continues to, you find those moments of space and joy, and just amazing mana'o from women like Auntie. So mahalo, Auntie. I hope she hears me on this, but again, mahalo.
Yes, mahalo. And I'm seeing some comments on our Facebook about how those kinds of connections, and hey sis, that was the first time I met you and got to meet Auntie Pua and others. And so I think, again, that's a really great outcome of those kinds of networking. So mahalo ano me Judy, and I'm going to invite Napua and Jamie to turn on their videos and to join us here on the stage for our Aha Wāhine Kūhinapapa. And let me see if I need to kokua here with some turning on of the videos. Okay, I see Jamie here, and let's see if I can. All right, here we go. Napua's here. So maybe let's start off where I ended with those two. And who are you bringing into our circle tonight? And yeah, maybe we'll start with Jamie.
Okay, mahalo. Gosh, I just loved watching that video, and it reminded me of the time when I was at Queen Liliuokalani Children's Center. I wasn't able to come to the second Aha, but we did send Wahine, and I was so happy to see them on the video. And one of them that you folks all saw was a kupuna who's no longer with us. She's a master weaver from Kona. Her name is Auntie Maluihi Lee. And so it was really, really refreshing to see her and remember her. I can hear her voice. And I know a lot of us probably have memories of the Ahas during that time. So before I hand it over to Napua to share who she brings, I'm going to talk a little bit and then hand it over to her. All of the Ahas, Aha Kane, Aha Wāhine, Aha Opio really inspired some of us to gather for the last couple of years in planning for something called Aha Ohana. And it was to be across the Pai'aina, probably hybrid, but of course, alo i alo is important, right? And so we continue to plan under the leadership of Aha Kane and Keola Chan until COVID hit us. And so, like many other things, that's kind of why we're here, is because we really wanted to honor the space and the time for us Wahine, and all these stories that we've been talking about has really just kind of inspired that within me. And so just wanted to give some aloha and a little bit of honoring to what has happened over the last couple of years. And then we also hear a little bit about passing down ike from one generation to another. And for most of us, that means the older generation to a younger generation. But, you know, I'm so happy to be here with Napua. I think I'm the oldest one and she's the youngest one of us here. You know, if we're not regularly around, you know, those that are in their 30s and letting them mentor us, and you know, when we think we're the older ones, we live it wise and we can mentor them, you know, we'll really be missing out on some of the awesome, striking, ike, thought-provoking things that has a different slight to it that perhaps in our generation, you know, we don't think like that. So it's very inspirational, and it's kind of what Nalau Ahina also started as, which Judy and Anui Nui spoke about. But so I'm real happy that Napua is here with us, and she's going to share a little bit about what's coming next. We're fortunate that we get to share all the good news about Aha Wāhine Kūhinapapa. So I'll turn it over to Napua.
Mahalo. So going to who I bring to our circle, I want to bring my hiapo, my daughter Kinohi. She came with me to the 2012 Aha, and she was only a few months old at the time, and just pushing her around in the stroller and carrying all the things that a new mother brings with their first keiki to all of the breakout sessions, and just being among everyone, all the wahine and their keiki, was a very special moment for me. She's going to be 9 in a few months, and so she's in a few years are going to be transitioning into another phase in her life, and I'm happy to be able to stay in this kind of circle and continuous learning so that I can pass it on to her. And so just kind of ending our panel discussion, we named it Okay Kāhua Mamua Mahope Ke Kūkulu. First, make your foundation strong. And that's what we did at the beginning of the panel, talking about what inspired the Aha Wāhine to be created, and how the first conferences was created for the Lahui, and then what transpired after the Ahas, and then now moving forward, what is the Aha Wāhine going to offer through this series. And Auntie Jamie was talking about the Aha Ohana, hopefully in the next year or so, being able to be face-to-face. And so the planning committee for the Aha Wāhine, we got together because of a great grant opportunity. We are grateful to the Hawaii People's Fund for supporting our series. And after a few planning sessions, we decided that the focus of the series would be to celebrate and to honor intergenerational mana of Wahine. And that really meant for us to be a way for Wahine to share how they were raised in their family traditions and their values, and then in turn how they are raising their next generation in the same way. And so some of the examples, some of the things that you can look forward to, our next webinar will honor two very well-known Wahine in the hula realm, and that is Dr. Hopulani Holt and Ulalea Woodside. They're sisters, and they're going to be sharing their Ohana traditions of hula. And later on, we're going to have Kainani Kahaunaile, if you're familiar with her beautiful music. She's going to be joined by her mother, Lady Ipo, and her daughters. And if you follow her on Facebook or maybe seen some shared videos, her three keiki are always singing and playing ukulele and doing these really awesome Hawaiian music mashups. And it's such a beautiful thing to be able to watch. And then another ohana that's going to be joining us will be one of our panelists tonight, Kim Ku'ule with her daughter Cami and her granddaughter Ha'aipo. And they're going to be sharing about their 3 generations of Aloha Aina and their dedication to protect Kuho'olawe Ohana. So between now and March, we're going to have 9 or 10 webinars, and they're going to be featuring businesswomen, scholars, Aloha Aina activists and musicians, and even social justice warriors. And so we hope that you continue on this journey with us in this webinar series. We have our fresh Instagram and Facebook ready for you to like and follow. And thank you to Malia for re-upping and revamping our website, ahawahine.org, to provide those updates and then information from our past AHA.
Mahalo. Mahalo. So, I don't know, Jamie, did you have any last mana'o before we maybe start to wind up for tonight?
Just look out for the new post coming up and register, tell your other Wahine friends, and yeah. Mahalo to you guys.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we need, if we can get everyone back on just for another group shot here with all of our friends, if everyone can come off and we can go into a gallery view before we start to bring up our closing slides. You know, and as we do that and we get a little bit, Miss Mehana got to clear her screen over there. You know, mahalo again to all of you for the great work. And, you know, I see so many thank yous in the chat for all of the gatherings and for the work that has been put in. But really, I think on behalf of all of us, we want to say mahalo to all of you, Wahine and Kane and, you know, Ohana, that continue to be that glue and holding everyone together and really inspiring one another. And we really hope that these gatherings and this webinar series will be an inspirational journey. And maybe, again, like we said, we can have some networking and, yeah, just bringing together of Ohana, even in these virtual settings. Maybe I'll give an opportunity for 1 or 2 last mana'o to whoever jumps in.
So, Malia, I just wanted to say, I don't know if we mentioned the date of the next one. So October 29th is our next webinar with Hoku and Ulalia, and maybe a couple of Hoku's daughters. And then for the rest of the November and December, we're only having one each. So I think Daviana McGregor and Rosie Allegado will be in November. And then even after that, some others are Anella Evans and her mother, Anella and Martha Evans from Lanai. And I know Jamie and her daughter is going to be on. So we just have this really great lineup that's coming up, and we're hoping that everyone can join us.
Mahalo. Mahalo for that reminder. Yes. And so stay connected with us on our Facebook pages. And, you know, we did put a survey link in, and maybe we'll put it one more time here in the Zoom chat as well as on our Facebook. It would be great if you could help us out and just give us some mana'o. There's just a few questions there. And that would really help us in, you know, getting feedback from all of you. What did you like about it? What you didn't? How we can make it better? And just really stay connected with us. So as Napua mentioned earlier, you can find us on Facebook as well as on Instagram. And our tag there is Aha Wāhine Kūhinapapa. And, you know, we would love to hear your mo'olelo of what you remember from 2012. And if you want to use the hashtag Aha Wāhine, we can find you. And, you know, we would love to feature some of that on our Facebook and Instagram. Or maybe if you have a Wahine-owned business, we would love to feature that too, or some other programs that we don't know about. just stay connected with us. And that's really how the best way is through Facebook and Instagram. Of course, we want to say again, mahalo nui loa to Hawaii People's Fund for being instrumental in getting us started here and supporting the work of Aha Wāhine Kūhinapapa. Also, a mahalo to Hawaii Nui Akea, the School of Hawaiian Knowledge, to Papa Ola Lokahi, to Oiwi TV, and to so many of our partners who are really helping us reach even farther. And again, a mahalo to each of you who decided to join us and to spend time with us, and yeah, and just having some great content here on our social media. So mahalo nui, everyone, and sending a big aloha. Mahalo.